Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining me, Dorothea, on Through an Orthodox Christian Lens. It is June 27th, 2025. I have so many stories to share on the Israel-Iran / U.S. issue updates and things like that. I'm going to be discussing all of that here in just a minute. What I need to do is I need to show you first off a clip from Dialogue Works with Nima and Larry Johnson. I want to play what Larry Johnson says regarding what happened with the 12-day war between Israel and Iran.
I don't know why Iran decided to stop, because they had Israel down on the ground. And people go, oh, you're exaggerating. No, just look at the facts. Israel only has 2 seaports that container ships come through. The containers, everything that's imported into Israel comes through either Haifa or Ashdod. Well, those were hit, and they'd stopped operating. Ships weren't coming in because it's too dangerous. So right there, it's like cutting off a starving man from food. So that was problem number 1. Then Iran effectively hit the 2 oil refineries that are also at Haifa and Ashdod, but put them out of commission. At least prevented their full operation. Then it shut down Ben Gurion Airport, so nobody could get in and out of Israel. Except, the only way in and out was to go to a military airfield. But even those military airfields have been hit, and we have no idea of how much damage was done. But I guarantee you the significant damage was done simply because the Israeli censors, they're clamping down. They're not letting anything out. If those airfields were in great shape, man, they'd be showing pictures. It didn't even touch us, that kind of thing. And then we have really little insight other than what Iran says that it hit on the various Israeli military intelligence targets, airfields throughout the country. I posted a map that Iran put out last night on at sonar21.com if people want to see it. So, most of the world didn't realize it, but Israel was in trouble, and the United States were through intermediaries. I'm sure. I don't know if I think it was the Russians. It may have also been the Chinese, but persuaded Iran to say, okay, if you stop, if Israel stops attacking us, we'll stop attacking them.
Ladies, listen up.
Oh, Lordy,
the video
sorry.
showing the pink salt trick that melts belly fat while you sleep.
I personally think that was a mistake by Iran. Mm-hmm. I think Iran could have actually defeated Israel significantly in a way that Israel's, the danger was Israel was going to be backed into a corner and might feel the need to use a nuke. And so that, that may have been a governing reason.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that issue of the nuke issue with Israel using a nuclear weapon. I was thinking perhaps Iran, they said, we'll stop. Remember, Iran had said, hey, we'll stop striking your sites, if your country, if you first stop striking us, because Israel had started it. That was initially what they were saying at that time. I remember that, and of course, as you recall, I had said that President Trump took that to mean, oh, see, they're losing, they're weakening, it's just a typical way Westerners look at situations militarily, apparently. So, but he brought up it could be the nuclear issue. It also could be that Iran had showed their might through very interesting and powerful weapons that had not been seen before, such as the Sigil missiles, some interesting ballistic missiles, things like that. So that was their opportunity to introduce all of these weapons that they have, and there's nothing to say that they have showed all their weapons. It could be that they have other weapons in their arsenal that have not been shared in this 12-day war. So others could be out there. But I do understand why he would feel that way, because Iran was making great progress in devastating Israel through cutting off the ports, the main airport, just ways that their power plant, all the things that are needed for the country to function. And if Iran kept doing that, and it got to the Ministry of Interior, it got to the military intelligence building, it got to the Mossad building, it got to the stock exchange building. All of these things hit at the heart of the Israeli government and its way of functioning and living. But I know Iran said that they were going to grind them into dust. Basically, they were planning to do that, but we don't know. We just know in that instance, it just seemed the interesting part also is this supposed ceasefire that came about. I'm going to play you a little clip on X from Steve Bannon on his thoughts on what happened with the ceasefire. And okay, so let's play that. And then I'm going to see what you have to say on this, on his thoughts.
Yesterday they took this ceasefire was as much to save Israel. That's the hidden story here. They bit off way more than they could chew. They were played out as far. Yesterday was a brutal day for the citizens of Israel. Took horrible incomings, particularly in Tel Aviv, and I guess Beersheba also. They needed this because they were running out of defensive ammunition, and President Trump stepped in there with the help of Qatar. Look, we've come a long way since 7 years ago when Qatar, would not work with us on stopping the financing of Islamic terrorism, the financing of it. And they come a long way. They've stepped in the middle of the situation in Gaza, and they stepped in the middle here, and President Trump is going out of his way to praise them. And he's not going out of his way to praise Netanyahu's government, which I think is getting to be an issue.
Okay. It's beginning to be an issue, which I find odd because the Netanyahu government has been an issue, a problem for years. So I wouldn't say it is getting to be, it's beginning to. So he's saying that President Trump had saved Israel. And I came to that conclusion as well, that, the Haifa mayor had said before the ceasefire, please end this war. Donald Trump has to do something. I remember hearing that. So at least that was known, because Haifa and Tel Aviv were getting the most missiles and damage. But I'm going to play this, and I'm sure everybody's seen it, but I'm going to play the video. See if I can find it. I have so much stuff up here, it's hard to... Let's see. Where was that? Well, not sure I'm going to be able to play it for you. Although I'm sure you've seen it several times. Okay, well. It's basically the video that Trump is cursed, uses the F word. Because he's all upset. He does this ceasefire and, okay, you got 12 hours and this, and then Israel puts out the biggest bomb, he says, all this stuff, and that he was really upset over Israel. My view is, because if you go with he was saving Israel, people telling him, you need to end this, even as we said, the mayor in Haifa, he's thinking, oh yeah, the devastation was way worse than what we thought. So he, races and drops those missiles, bombs, whatever, on the supposed Iranian nuclear sites and all that, which kind of distracts from what was going on between when Iran kept bombing, big waves of bombs on the little tiny country of Israel. So with that, he was probably angry, because he's like, look, I'm trying to save your country, and you have these psychopathic insane psychopathic murderers who just want to continue to bomb Iran from their little tiny country, getting obliterated with so many buildings around them and everything. They still wanted to do it, and he was like, "You need to stop, because you end up worse shape." These people have seem to have no sense of. It's almost like they think they're invincible, like they're just going to survive whatever, And never mind the Israeli people. We don't care about them. We have to do this. We have to bomb and get rid of the Ayatollah Khomeini and, regime change. We got to do all this. This is our chance. And so I think that's how that went down. I mean, it's a good possibility. We're going to go into another thing here that it's important. There's a lot of, let's see, what am I looking for? Okay, so the first thing is Iran rejects IAEA chief's request to visit bombed nuclear sites. Well, of course. They've been, they had leaked documents which showed that the IAEA, was working at the behest of the Western countries, the United States and Israel and all that, and they were offering, basically, as it says, Iran has rejected a meaningless request by an International Atomic Energy Agency chief, Rafael Grossi, to visit facilities bombed by Israel and the U.S. Grossi's insistence on visiting the bombed sites under the pretext of safeguards is meaningless and possibly even malign in intent. Well, the foreign minister Abbas Arachi said, well, can you blame him? Again, this was all one-sided. Iran came in good faith of being a part of this inspection thing of their nuclear program, energy program, and they're still in the non-proliferation agreement. But I think they've stepped out of this, having the IAEA be involved. They're not going to allow inspectors anymore to look at their nuclear program, energy ones, or any other kind, because of what happened. In addition, let's see here. Where was that? Oh my goodness, I have too many things up. It's hard for me to... Okay. Iranian envoy rejects term ceasefire, says attacks halted mutually, which is exactly what they had said, And it asserted that Iran only stopped its response after the opposing side ceased its attacks, which is what they'd already said they were going to do during that 12-day war. Let's see. So this person's name I can't pronounce, Mohammed Hassan, this long last name. So he says a ceasefire was achieved at the other party's request. This is true. But let me be clear. We do not accept the term ceasefire. From the beginning, we said if the other side halts its attacks, we will reciprocate. Yes, and they've learned their lesson of the deceptions of Israel and the United States, and they realize that, we're not going to say a ceasefire because, first off, regarding Israel, they have violated thousands of ceasefires. I think it was like 3,000. They don't. In fact, they're bombing Lebanon right now. But in any case, and there's supposed to be a ceasefire, but I guess they figure, oh, well, it doesn't count that. We can just continue to kill Gazans and kill Lebanese. In any case, that's what they're saying. We didn't agree to that. We're not gonna say ceasefire. So from that, now we have Israeli Defense Minister threatens to restart war against Iran. Nobody should be surprised over this, but Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz announced on 27 June that he has instructed the Israeli army to prepare a military plan targeting Iran's nuclear and missile programs, as well as its regional alliances. Interesting. I take it they're not bombing the same ones? The ones that supposedly were obliterated, as Trump said? I'm not sure. But he's saying nuclear and missile programs, as well as its regional alliances. Regional alliances. Are they talking about the Houthis? Lebanon? Well, that's already going on. So, in a post on X, Katz said the enforcement plan would focus on maintaining Israel's air superiority, preventing nuclear advancement and missile production, and responding to Iran for supporting terror activity against Israel. I'm not sure what terror activity he's talking about. If he's thinking the Houthis are terrorists, the Houthis were trying to stop the Gaza genocide, the mass murder, and they were making some progress. In fact, they were the only ones doing anything for a while. So I think everybody was happy when Iran was actually involved in decimating some of Israel's important sites, because I don't think Israel's ever going to learn until they're beaten into submission and to be humbled. They're too prideful, just like our country is. And having said that, so he's saying we will act regularly to thwart such threats, of course. To understand, and then he says, warning Iranian leaders to understand and beware. Operation Rising Lion was only the preview of a new Israeli policy after 7 October. Immunity is over. Oh, he's probably talking about Hamas too. Speaking separately to Israel's Channel 12, Katz elaborated that the plan would be implemented regardless of the current ceasefire. I see. So, I don't think either one of them are doing a ceasefire. They're just trying to regroup. I mean, Israel is, because they've gotten, beaten to a certain amount. We are saying unequivocally, once the Iranians violate, we will strike. Oh, you think they're going to violate? Oh, I see. You're going to use these. Is this going to be a false flag? You're going to use these as supposed, oh, look, Lebanese did this, the Houthis did this, so some Iranians attacked us. Look at this, look at that. Sure. Okay. He stressed that Tel Aviv would not seek U.S. approval for such actions. Comparing the approach to Israeli strikes in Lebanon, just times 100. Despite the ceasefire, Israeli officials have repeatedly threatened to strike Iran again should it attempt to restore strategic infrastructure. Yeah, again, that's like a mouse telling an elephant what to do. This is ridiculous. But in any case, that's that. And then we're going to look at this very quickly. Trump's comments, it seems, today, which I found. This is crazy.
If the intelligence reports conclude that Iran can enrich uranium to a level that concerns you, would you consider bombing the country again?
Without question. Absolutely.
Sure, yeah, we'll bomb again. Absolutely. Oh, Lord have mercy. So, it seems to me, as a lot of geopolitical analysts are saying, this war is not the end. It's going to restart at some point. One last thing. Court rejects Netanyahu's call to postpone graft trial hearing. The Israeli court on Friday rejected Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's request to postpone giving testimony in his corruption trial, after U.S. President Donald Trump said the case should be canceled. His excuse was, he needed to concentrate on security issues after Israel's 12-day war with Iran. They didn't, the district court in Jerusalem just said that in its current form, his request does not provide a basis of detailed justification for the cancellation of the hearings. Of course, Netanyahu's lawyer promptly submitted a fresh request for the next 2 weeks' hearing to be scrapped. Well, no, he's a psychopathic murderer. He really needs to be in jail. But in any case, so Trump, he was going on, this is a witch hunt, saying the trial should be canceled immediately, or a pardon given to a great hero. A hero of what? Murder? A hero of genocide? A hero of what? A hero against humanity? Yeah. I don't think so. So, just wanted to share all those stories with you. This is just, I think this is just a breather. Everybody thinks that. I don't know. We know that in the prophecies, the war is just going to get worse in certain other areas, but still, this one doesn't sound like it's done either. This section, this phase. So, thanks so much for watching. Please follow my channel. Subscribe to my channel on YouTube. And if you want to, follow me on Rumble as well. Please like my videos if you like them. Share my videos if you would. If you share my channel and my videos and get the word out. And I appreciate all of your support. I hope you're having a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are. Until next time.